would definitely like this. So I'll just share my screen. Just I'm audible, right?
Audible, sir.
Right.
Audible.
Yeah. 1 second. This is visible to you. That my screen is visible.
Clear, sir.
Yeah. So good afternoon, everyone. So as Mr. Sujit explained, so we're going to talk today about the overview of pharmaceutical industry. QBD, what QBD talks about. So we all must have heard about it. It's just that, I would just like to put in some pointers or maybe highlight on how it actually works in the pharmaceutical regulatory domain. So for that, first in the beginning, I would like to congratulate everyone for being associated with the pharma, chemical or biotech industry, whichever field, whichever way we are. Maybe we are just into the academics, maybe we are just starting or taking a first step towards it. But congratulations to everyone to be a part of this most dynamic and the most regulated environment. So we're going to talk about QBD, right? So what does QBD talk about? So quality by design is basically, as we mentioned in the beginning, it's you can call it as a change in the mindset. It's transition from the traditional way to the more systematic approach of pharmaceutical development and manufacturing. So pharmaceutical development and manufacturing, of course, this has been happening since ages, but now there is a paradigm shift which the industry has taken up, and now we have to move in from the traditional techniques to the more innovative ones. So the traditionally quality, as we all know, why was achieved even today, most of us would be sure that quality is always achieved by testing, right? So we basically test each and every material. But what the regulatory expectation is that quality should not be just by testing. It should be built within your system. It should be built within your process. It should be built within your method. So that's what quality by design is all about. It aims to ensure that the product quality through thorough understanding and controlling the process variables. So we need to understand each and every aspect of our product such that we are able to control the variables and get to the desired expected values or the desired results. So of course there is a tool, DOE, we'll talk about it in the details. So basically QBD enhances the efficiency, consistency and regulatory compliance in the pharmaceutical industry. So that's what QBD talks about. So it talks about the desired product performance, desired product design. It talks about process design and process performance. My screen is not moving. Am I audible?
Yes, you are audible. Should I share the screen, sir?
I did some changes. 1 sec. Yeah, so you're visible.
Screen is not shared.
Oh, is it? Yeah, can you see this
Yes, yes, perfect.
now?
Yes, sir.
Okay, fine. Sorry for that glitch. We all have the first time. Maybe I'm first time I'm using the Zoho platform. But anyways, so we talked about what QBD is. So now I would like to talk about why QBD. But before we talk about why QBD, just as a as I was initiating this, that this thing was first always first to me. Why quality? Why is it that we all always talk about quality? Why quality is more significant? Everybody is asking about it when we talk about in the pharma domain. So, we all know, like, if I have to give you an example, today when you have to take a mobile, right? So we all know what mobile we need to take. We know it should be of 4 GB, 6 GB, 8 GB RAM. It should have 256 MB space. It should have so and so megapixel, right? But we know when we talk about quality of a drug substance or a drug product, if suppose you want to buy a tablet, we just go to the market and say that this is the brand name, or we just go to the market and show that this is the prescription. We don't ask what is the API in this, what is the purity of that particular API, what are the other things which are being controlled. Uh, so that is called as an asymmetry information, where we are totally relying upon what the manufacturer is providing to us. So that is the reason quality becomes the most significant aspect, because we as a customer, we are totally relying upon the manufacturer, what the manufacturer is providing to us. And of course it talks, when we talk about pharmaceutical industry, it talks about patient safety and clinical efficacy. So that's why quality comes into the most significant aspect. And when we talk about why quality by design, why does it has to be built in the system? So if we talk about pharma industry, so the pharma industry, as I said in the beginning, it's the most dynamic and the most regulated environment at the same time. So in pharma industry, the obsolescence of the medicines. So very soon the medicines, old medicines, they get replaced by the new medicines. So it happens very rapidly, and as a result, companies are constantly working to develop new and new molecules, new and new products to maintain and remain competitive in the market. So this underscores the importance of research and development in the pharmaceutical industry. So there are many companies which adhere to traditional processes like OFAT approach, where one factor at a time, or trial and error approaches. Of course, it's not that you cannot achieve your results with one factor at a time. OFAT approach, they may give you results but may not always give you the desired results. Or sometimes it may also happen that we may feel that we have achieved the maximum output, but it may not be the maximum what the process or the method can give us. We can also go beyond that. So all these things cannot be independently analyzed or done. So we need to analyze multiple factors at a time. So that's how, keeping in mind, ICH came up with this QBD concept, and it established the guidelines for it. So this is again a typical slide to show the historical perspective of QBD. Again, this slide I've taken from a typical USP presentation. It may not be the recent one, but if we talk about the origin or the concept of QBD, it was initiated way back in the 1990s by Sir Joseph Juron. The concept was laid by him, which talked about quality that should be designed into the product and the most quality problems related. So it is all about how it was being designed at the initial place, at the first time. So there is always a thing that we should be right at the first time. So then way back after that, from 2002 to 2018 onwards, of course, FDA has published a lot of guidelines related to process QBD. So it has come up with Q8, which talks about pharmaceutical development in around 2004. Then in 2005, came up with Q9, which talks about the quality risk management. 2007, Q10 was published, which talks about pharmaceutical quality system. So all these, and 2012 it came up with Q11, which talks about development and manufacturing. So this serves as a major backbone for all QBD activities. Everything is being given. And in 2021, of course, Q14 is now official in 23, but in 2021 it was the first time it came into public consultation. This was Q14 talks specifically about analytical QBD, AQBD. So that's a brief QBD historical perspective. Now, if we talk in more details about the QBD, so as I mentioned, QBD is it's a holistic approach to the pharmaceutical development centered on the designing the quality into the products rather than quality by testing. It talks about quality by design. It emphasizes on understanding the relationship between formulation, process parameters, and product quality. So it does not just talk about what parameter would impact, what variable would impact to the product quality. It also takes into consideration the interaction between two particular variables. So when we are doing one factor at a time, we can just get to know about what particular variable is doing. But there are sometimes there are also interaction between the two variables, which may again affect the output of the method or the process. So that also is being covered by QBD concept. The ultimate goal is to ensure that the quality through predefined objectives. So this predefined objectives is very important. Of course, we should know what is our target profile going to be like, and then it's see it is all subjective to what knowledge we share. So that's what we should know what knowledge we have. We should put it that comes as a knowledge space. Then we derive a design space, and thereafter we have a control scale or a normal operating region or the MODR. So we all know knowledge space, design space, and control space, right? So basically, knowledge space, we all know it's the entire body of information. Whatever knowledge we have about the product, be it from prior experience, be it from the literature, we need to put down, assess, and of course, there are risk assessment tools. So whatever knowledge or the entire body of information covers the knowledge space. The function, if we talk about it, it defines about the boundaries or the process of the process understanding. Whatever understanding we have about the particular process, about the particular method, it defines the boundaries for that particular region of our study. Then if we talk about the central part, that is the design space. So design space is the multidimensional set of operating ranges for input and variable. Sujit, this was one of your questions, right? Yesterday. Hello.
Yes, sir. Correct.
Yeah.
So
So I
they
guess
can.
you all can. Yeah. You want to say something?
No, no. Please
Yeah.
continue. Please continue.
Yeah. So design space talks more about the regulatory flexibility, what we have. Once a design space is been established after the DOE, it talks about the regulatory flexibility that we have after the process for process optimization. And control space ultimately is again it is a subset of the design space. In within the design space, we select that this okay fine, this would be the minimum things based on our process, whatever knowledge we have, or what the design space is been given. So it talks about a control strategy which ensures that the process stays within the design space. So this what this will help is it will give us the consistent product quality. If we are working within the design space or within the control space, it will give you a consistent product quality. So core principles, if we talk about QBD, of course, there are many more principles, but the core principles, the key principle is to define the QTTP or the quality target product profile. So we should know what is our target profile, what is our dosage, what is our strength. So that could be a QTTP, and then we need to identify based on our target profile, we need to identify what is the critical quality attributes that impacts our product performance. So we know our QTTP, we know our product performance. We should identify that what are going to be the critical attributes of that particular product which may impact the product performance. So that accounts to be CQAs, and we need to establish the critical process parameter. Now, what are the process parameter which are going to impact, which needs to be controlled such that the manufacturing takes place effectively? So if this is just an exemplary, if we talk about QTTP, we should know what is the strength and what is the release. So now what are the critical quality attributes which may affect the release or the strength, which may affect the release. So we know that assay dissolution or impurity profile, it will affect the release profile, right? Now, how this CQA or how assay dissolution and impurity can further be attributed is, now that could be again two things. It could be impacted either by the process or it could be by the inherent property or the inherent material attributes. So what we call about the inherent material attributes which may impact, let's say the dissolution could be the particle size, right? So that can be as critical material attributes. And when we talk about or link it to the process, it could be the mixing speed, granulation time, drying temperature. All these things could impact the assay dissolution, right? So that's how the core principles lie down. That is defining the QTTP, identifying the CQA, and establish the CMAs and CPPs, right? So that's how we give the input as the CMAs and the CPPs, and the output is what we have is the CQAs. So when we talk about knowledge or putting down things, the most important elements, there are three basic elements of QBD framework. The first and the most critical one is risk assessment or the risk management. Now, risk management is something which, again, it's a continuous process. It has to be done, maybe I would say, three times during the entire cycle. Like maybe we can have an initial risk assessment, then maybe at the design stage, and as a after validation, also we can have a risk assessment to have a continuous life cycle management. So when we talk about risk management, there is of course risk identifying what could be the potential risk assessment, mitigation, management, and monitoring and review. So of course there are risk assessment tools. FMEA is the most important risk assessment tool. So when we put down whatever knowledge we have, then we need to have a you know thorough discussion within the scientists to identify what are the risks and categorize it, whether it is high, low, and medium, and what is impacting to our product or the process performance. Then comes the software part, wherein the design of experiments is being done with the help of a software. Now, again, this based on the risk assessment, whatever inputs we have chosen or whatever variables has been finalized as the outcome of the risk assessment, and what are the levels, maximum and minimum levels which are being defined. So we need to enter those values in the software, and the software will give us a set of experiments. That is what we call as a design of experiments. We need to perform these experiments and record the outputs. That is going to be our required output, whether it is meeting the acceptance criteria or not. And then based on outputs, there is again some simulations, or maybe we want to conduct some more experiments, and then ultimately we will get what is called as a design space. And with the help of design space, we can have a control space and define a control strategy within the design space. Now, control strategy again can be by in-process test, by in-process specifications, right, such that we meet the consistent product quality throughout the life cycle. So as I said, risk management, the FMEA, that is failure mode effect analysis, is the most important. So we need to analyze what could be the failure chances, material attributes. And then when we talk about design of experiments, okay, so let me see if we have some time in the end. I would like to definitely quickly run through actually a software where I can show you how this input, whatever variables we have, and how we are actually arriving at the design space. But I believe we all must be having a bit theoretical knowledge about what the design of experiment looks like. So we all must have seen this three-dimensional plot, right? So this is what, if we talk about this design of experiments, the output is of course this contour, which is called as a contour plot. So with this results of informations, we can define the control strategies and the design space. So when we talk about, this is one thing which I mentioned earlier also, controls are implemented to maintain the product. So this entire thing is the knowledge, whatever information. So beyond knowledge space is the unexplored area, right? So there may be something which is beyond our knowledge. So that is our unexplored area. But we need to document this and present it that this was the knowledge space, whatever we had. And based on the knowledge space, this is the design space which we have got based on the design of experiments. And within this design space, this is the subset which we have chosen such that it is giving us the consistently. So within this design space, wherever we work, it will always give. And the liberty is where we don't have to, you know, go file for any change or deviation if we are working within this space. So QBD, as I said, of course, it's a change in thought, it's a change in mindset, but that mindset or that thing, everything, it should be totally unbiased and it should be based on the knowledge. So QBD relies more on the scientific principles to understand the relationship between the variables and the quality. So we should have a unbiased discussion, peer discussions. We should put down, and documentation at each and every stage is very critical. We need to list down what, based on our prior knowledge or literature, and we should have a thorough scientifically principle based on which we are selecting which are the attributes which needs to be considered for the screening or for the optimization, and what are the levels of the variables which we need to be considering. If we talk about, let's say, any input material, what are the variables, what are the maximum that can be considered, what are the minimum that can be considered. So this of course comes with the prior knowledge or with the literature, and of course the software will definitely give us more detailed knowledge about it. But our information, whatever we are putting it, it should not be biased based on our personal choice. It should be based on the scientific principles. And of course, as we said, risk assessment tool is most important one. It will help us to prioritize and the critical factors. Like if we talk about the CQAs, weight variation, hardness, thickness. So which is impacting at the compression step? What is impacting? Whether it has a low impact, whether it has a high impact, whether it has a medium impact. And then accordingly, the high ones or the lower ones, we can keep it aside, and for the high and median we can go ahead. Because see, if we increase the number of variables, the number of complexity increases, and it will be very difficult even for the software to do it, and of course for us also to interpret the output of those things. So with our knowledge and with the help of the risk assessment tools, we need to filter off what are actually, of course, okay, fine, this is our knowledge what we have, but based on our knowledge or based on our risk assessment, what are the factors which are going to affect the quality parameter, what we are, what we desire, what is the highest one and what is the medium and what is the lowest one. We need to do this based on a risk assessment tool. And of course it should be data driven decision making, which ultimately enhances the product and process development. Implementation of QBD, of course, it's same for both. I would say same for product. It's just that there is a slight change in the terminologies. In product QBD, if we talk about QTTP, quality target product profile, in analytical QBD or in AQBD, we talk about defining the analytical target profile, the ATP. CQA, of course, critical quality attributes remain the same. Then risk assessment, of course, it may start from the beginning. It has to be done before the design space also. And then establishing the design space, control strategy, and life cycle management. So these are in a nutshell the 6 stages of QBD, implementation of QBD. Each and every stage needs to be documented and explained. So the regulatory, of course, they also prefer implementation of QBD because there is lot of benefits of implementing the QBD. If we talk about the advantages, there are multiple advantages: reduced batch failure, cost saving. So ultimately, we are reducing the cost of quality. So today, if I ask what is the cost of quality or who is responsible for the cost of quality, it's not that only the quality control department is responsible for the cost of quality. All the departments, be it R&D, be it engineering, be it manufacturing, be it regulatory, be it IP. So everything, the cost of quality, when we talk, if suppose there is one failure, so that failure is not just accountable with the QC. The failure lies within the entire organization. So that's what the organization wants to reduce the cost of quality. So of course there will be reduced batch failures if we are implementing a method which is foolproof or which is based on, not just, it is based on science as well as statistical combinations. So we know what if it goes beyond this, and what if it goes, the changes happen within this. So it is definitely going to help us develop a robust system which will maintain, or which will help us reduce the batch failures. There will be cost saving, there will be control over scale up process. Now, whenever we are scaling up, which is the most common thing as a part of expansion, today our batch size is small. We want to scale up. So there are n number of challenges which we may face during the scale up. But if we have a design space or a control space established, so it becomes very easy to transfer any technology. And of course, all these things, the quality, it does matter, the product efficacy, patient safety, and the regulatory flexibility. So the reduced manufacturing cost and processes, in fact, even the cycle time, even the development time, that is the most thing which I would say as of now. Today we take, like, let's say we are taking, of course, there are minimum 30 to 40% reduction in the development time as well. So if we are doing one factor at a time, just imagine we are doing one change at a time, and there are process variables are multiple. So just imagine the number of experiments we'll have to do. Of course, in QBD also, it gives you a number of experiments depending upon the variable, depending upon what pattern, what design we choose. That also comes into it as we go to the advanced. Maybe we can understand that also. But then, of course, the ultimate goal is to achieve a regulatory flexibility as well. So we have that thing with when we have a process which is being developed with the help of QBD. So it has multiple benefits, not just saving the time, it also gives you a confidence over the product quality or the batch manufacturing. Improving yield is also one more aspect. I have cases where companies, we are struggling to achieve a 30-40 consistent yield, and with the help of QBD. See, because why we are able to do this is because we are not just understanding what are the variable which is impacting the product quality. We are also able to understand with the help of software what are the interaction between the two variables. So it ultimately helps us understand our process even better and design it in a better way to achieve the maximum output or the maximum of whatever is the accepted limit for us. So QBD, of course, it is not just, it started with the engineering, then later on it's the chemical industry has adopted it, and also ultimately pharma companies have also started adopting it. Of course, it's been since long time now, but again, it was initially in the process development. So of course, formulation development, there is a systematic experimentations. They help identify the optimal formula or the optimal formula parameters. Understanding the formulation variability with, ensures the product consistency. So just understand the chronology, understanding the formulation parameter, then this ensures the product consistency, and then QBD ultimately enables robust formulation that will withstand the manufacturing and the storage challenges. So QBD, of course, it can be done in at the formulation development. It can be also done for the process development. So of course, process initially there were a lot of challenges, but of course now with the process, the advancement of QBD, process design involves identifying or defining the critical process parameters. What are the process parameters which are very much critical and are going to impact the product quality, and they are going to ultimately influence the quality attributes. They are going to impact the critical quality attributes. Process validation is again integrated into development, reducing the revalidation needs. So once we have a robust process, so we may not to have again do revalidation, because we are already having a robust process. It will help us for the continuous process verification and ensure that the ongoing process performance is up to the mark. Regulatory, of course, they are the most welcoming the QBD approach. Regulators are encouraging very much for the people to submit. In fact, after the advancement of AQBD, it has now the expectations has extended not just to the process but also to the analytical methods, and not just analytical methods for the HPLC. It can be extended to any part. So QBD is something which is not specific to one particular process. It can be, at overall as a holistic approach. It can be implemented at any stage, be it R&D, be it manufacturing, be it analytical. Ultimately, the output is we are going to have a science-based approach, which will be very much flexible. And regulators are definitely encouraging it. They published more and more guidelines for it, they are open for it. Submission of a design space. The regulators, when we have a process which is being developed in a traditional way, and then when we have a process which is developed with the help of a QBD, so it always stands out. And when we demonstrate the design space, it is like we are demonstrating more of the understanding of the process what we have, the more of the process variability. Because most of the questions queries, they of course come within the process, how we have selected this parameter, what if it changes to this. So everything is being controlled when we are showing to the regulatory authority that this is the design space based on our process understanding and the experiments. And these are of course QBD. After once we design the design space, there is also validation of the design space. So all this forms as a cumulative document. Each and every steps, as I mentioned in the initial slides, step 1 to step 6, each and everything needs to be validated, documented at each and every stage, and presented as a holistic data to the regulatory. And regulatories are more, in fact, they are encouraging more and more. QBD approaches facilitates fast post approval changes also with fewer regulatory hurdles. So we all know that in a regulated or the most regulated environment, so it is a very difficult to go for any change, especially when we are going for a EU. A small change is a type 2 variation, and now to handle that variation, it becomes a big task. But if we have a QBD approach, we know that this change, whatever we are suggesting or doing or planning to implement, it is within the design space, and we have already proved, or we already have the set of experiments that will justify these changes will not impact the product quality. So that's what the advantage will be, and we can definitely implement it in a more smoother way. So if we talk about a comparison between the traditional approach and the QBD approach. So traditional approach, as I mentioned, it talks about quality is assured always by testing and inspection. So traditionally, that's what have been done. Every material which is being, manufactured, it has to be tested. It has to be subjected to various kind of inspections. So that's what the traditional approach is. The data, again, as I said, when we do it by one factor at a time, we do a lot of changes. So multiple experiments is being done for one particular, process, or one particular attribute which we want to meet. So the data is intensive, or sometimes it may be not linked, or it will be not be with the bigger picture. Sometimes it becomes for us also as a developer to difficult to trace things within the process, right? So it's a huge data. And the specifications, if we talk traditionally, it is based on the batch history, batch trend, whatever it is. And the process is what we are developed traditionally. It's a frozen process. Once we have freeze the process, once it is filed, it does not, nobody encourages to go for any changes. We are restricted to follow that particular process which has been designed. And of course, if you want to make any changes, then again we have to go back to the initial stage. So now with the QBD approach, when we say that quality earlier in the traditional, it is ensured by testing. So in QBD, it is not by testing, it is built within the product, built into the product by process understanding and based on scientific understanding. Now, this is more important. It's not that we don't have those informations. We have those information. We need to put down, have a proper risk assessment, and then go ahead with the help of software. Now, the software, what will give us? It will give us a knowledge submission showing the product and process understanding. So, the data which is generated, it will be in the form of a crisp report with all necessity parameters, which will be very easy to track and trace and explain it to any regulatory authority. And the specifications will not be based purely on the batch history, it will be based on the performance requirements. What is the perform? What are our requirements? Based on that, specifications are designed. And of course, as I mentioned, the process will be flexible. If we are doing any changes within the design space, it is still allowable and we can do it because we have already validated that design space. That's what a major difference between a QBD approach and a traditional approach. Now, having said that, if we are saying that it has so many advantages, the major challenges or the most important or the most challenge thing is of course the initial investment in terms of the software, in terms of the resources that has to be put in terms of course the training and all. So that initial investment is of course high, but considering the long term benefits which we can get with the help of QBD, it is always recommended. But like any other new process, the initial step is a bit challenging, and resistance to change, like we've said in the initial talk, Mr. Sujit also told in the initial talk, we need to change the mindset. It is basically the change in the mindset, and that sometimes may be very difficult in the initial phase. We need to change the mindset because the resistance from to change from the traditional process. Some organizations even now they are happy doing the things traditionally. They don't want to implement because it could be either a monetary aspect or it could be a quality. They are happy with the quality and product. So that's what the choice is. So it's a change in mindset which we need to understand and adopt and innovate. And of course, having said that, when we talk about new software, new ways of implementing things, there is specifically more important for specialized training and expertise, because there are multiple tools, multiple softwares available in the market, but we need to undergo specific trainings and understand how to interpret or how to utilize that software in a more beneficial way. So that's where the challenge also lies within. If we talk about the case studies, there are multiple case studies where several pharmaceutical companies, they have already successfully implemented, they've reduced the batch failures using the QBD approaches. Implementation of QBD has not just helped in reducing the batch failures, but they have also led to shorter development time, because we are ultimately reducing the number of experiments. With one factor at a time, we could have done maybe, let's say, 100 experiments, but with the QBD approach or with the multiple factors which we can change simultaneously. It's not one factor. We have three, we can change all three factors at a time, and we can still get to know which variable is impacting the product quality. So that's how we are shortening the development timelines. And of course, when we are reducing the number of experiments, the cost involving each and every experiments is also getting saved, and that's where the cost of quality is also being improved. So these case studies demonstrate practical benefits of adopting a QBD approach. So would you like me to run through a quick case study of how exactly the software looks like? Sujit, may I?
Yes, sir, definitely.
So I'll just try to be as short in this. I'll just, because see, theoretically, I think it has been a monotonous. Of course, maybe we'll take some questions in the end, but I've been talking, or maybe we all learn, or we've attended seminar, webinar. We've seen all these things how they talk about. But let us actually see. Let me see. Are you able to see the screen?
Yes, screen is visible.
So I have not mentioned in detail about it. It talks about it is the most simplest software which I have used, and it is the most simplest experiments or an example which I have considered. It may not be the ideal one, but of course it is just for informatory knowledge sharing. So this is of a typical HPLC assay method development where we are targeting to have a retention time between, let's say, 4 to 6 minutes. We want to retain the compound to that level, of course. So now when we talk about HPLC, let's say if you're talking about the retention time, what are the variables that may impact it? So it may be like based on our risk assessment, we've noted down the pH of aqueous phase, the percentage of aqueous phase, and the flow rate. If suppose these are the variables which we are considering for the experiments, and we when we talk about any variables, so we have to design and decide what are the lower and the higher values which we want to consider for the experiments. Like in this case, if I'm giving the pH as 5.5 to 6.5 as the lower and higher values, percentage aqueous phase in the mobile phase, let's say for my mobile is a mixture of organic and aqueous. So what is the aqueous lowest I can think of taking 10? Somebody saying something? Hello?
No, sir. Continue. Please continue.
Just a sec. Yeah, so these are the three variables. We've made an entry in the software. So we put what are the lower and the higher values. So if we go to the next, the software. So this is what I am talking. This is a typical design of experiments. Like the software is giving you a number of experiments. So based on our inputs, which were the three variables, so it has given us a number of experiments. Let's say these are the 12 experiments. Out of this, of course, these last four are the midpoint values. So it has given us, like here, if you can say all
Yes,
the
sir.
three variables we are changing. So we are changing
One second.
multiple.
Sir, screen is lost. Screen is not visible.
Green is not visible. Can see this variable entry.
No, sir, not yet. Have you shared the screen?
Hmm?
Have you shared the screen, sir?
Yes, yes, I have shared it. Wait, let me figure out. We are unable to share your screen at the moment. Try downloading our desktop application, it says. I don't know what. Have we exceeded any time or something? Is it something like that?
Not sure because this.
Just a second.
Okay, no issue, sir. Then we
I
will.
don't know why it is asking me to download that file. So, anyway, so can you share that PPT? Maybe the last slide.
1 second. Which one, sir?
Case
Case
study.
study.
In my
In my
PPT, if you go to,
this one?
are you sharing the screen? I'm not able to see it.
Oh,
So, is it not allowing even you to share the screen?
okay. Some issue has happened with the software,
Yeah, na? So, even it is asking you also to download the software.
and so this actually some technical issue has happened because this is a paid plan, so the such issue shouldn't have happened. I'll raise with the team. No issues.
Mhm.
So
Fair enough. So I think I think it's okay.
hmm.
So maybe the feel which I wanted to give is just about the software, how the software looks like. So the example which I was talking about was, I think I reached till the variable entry and how the experiment. So you all could see the experiments which was given by the software. You could not see that, right?
No, the experiments was seen.
Okay, so that's what I wanted to have others to have a feel of it. Maybe, with those three variables, the software had given 12 experiments. And those 12 experiments, if we see, those were the combination of all the three variables with multiple variables, all the three variables being changed at the same time with the high, low, medium combination. So it is not one factor at a time. Based on it gives you, let's say, 12 experiments. All the three factors are being changed at the same time. And then we need to give the output. What is the output for this in particular case, HPLC method development? That was the essay. For that, that was the retention time. So the retention time we need to record for those 12 experiments. What is the retention time? And that is our output. Then we need to again put that output in the software, and then it will give the computation and give you the design space. That is what I wanted to show, but unfortunately we are not able to show you. But okay, that's what was the case study. uh, so I think, Sujit, that's how I would like to sum up. Of course, I wanted to talk more about how QBD is going to innovate even further, like what are the analytical upgradations which are going to happen. So that could of course be come into picture by, because as of now, if we say QBD is just a statistical tool, but that is something in the future trends, AI is also going to come into picture. Now we are manually doing the input and putting the output in the software. I know companies which are working in a way where we don't have to actually do these things offline. Analyzing everything will be done in the software. We just need to start a program, and of course that is what the future is. So if we talk about all these things, so definitely there is a lot of benefits. That's what the future is all about.
We
I
will
am
be we will be arranging another session with respect to AI in QBD.
Yeah,
So that That would be a really interesting. So there we can continue with the sessions. We'll
Yeah, yeah, sure,
uh,
sure.
with the screen with the
Without the screen, we are not able to actually, yeah,
without the screen. Actually, there's some technical issue has happened. Okay.
yeah.
So any questions with respect to whatever we have discussed so far? Because the question that were asked in the question has already been answered. What type of software is used for QBD? That Gaurav has already answered. Design Expert is one of the softwares. So
Design Expert, Minitab, these are the two major softwares. But of course, there are other software also, like the software which I showed, that is Sigma Tech. It's a complete indigenous software, and it's a very basic software. So we need to understand the basic things, very simple, two-dimensional, and that is also good enough to get an idea about the design space. Ultimately, our aim should be met.
any one of you just wanted to give one just one what do you say? If anyone is working on QB related projects and if they are facing any issues, you can definitely contact us for any. Can contact me, sir, anyone. We will be very happy to guide you through the QBD process. So that one particular aspect is also there. Any particular questions with respect to QBD?
Are you providing training for QBD?
Okay.
Yes, of course, we are providing training for QBD. See, this is just a platform. We wanted to just mention that, of course, these are the things which are available. So we do provide training for QBD. In fact, we also provide software for QBD. So that's where the training comes to, because uh, both the things has to be done simultaneously. We have a software, if you talk about Design Expert Minitab, but you won't find people giving training. So we have a software also, and we give training. It comes with the software as a comprehensive package.
That's what I was saying. If you have any specific questions or anything related to QBD, you want a particular training only related to QBD, you can definitely contact sir.
Yeah,
So hands-on training also can be arranged
yeah.
because this QBD concept, if you are using, if you are working on QBD, theoretical knowledge itself is not enough. You need to have that hands-on experience for it. Can you please name some softwares used in India by pharma companies, sir?
Design Expert, Minitab, Sigma Tech, Fusion, of course. You have worked with Fusion software. That is also good software. It is compatible. In fact, even with Waters Analytical HPLC also, they've used it. Fusion is also one of the good softwares. It is one of the oldest software, but it has now come up with very new upgradations as well. So Fusion, of course, is a good software. It
Sir.
gives you both process as well as analytical.
Hello.
Could you please arrange more sessions related to QBD? So we can definitely arrange more sessions. I am sure Sujit would also be in line with it, but we would be happy to understand what more you would be wanting to understand when we talk about QBD, because QBD as a concept is whole. If I have to explain you just about the design of experiments, about the optimization, about the screening, so, I mean, of course, for you, for anyone, for that matter, anyone, I would say, just put down the words, maybe which you want, to us to elaborate or have a further discussion. Because as Mr. Sujit said, that this is a continuous process. We keep having these sessions every Saturday. So we can accumulate all those things and we can have one session and maybe sometime later.
That's one aspect which I keep on telling after every session that you just message me or in the group or any other in the team that what topic you want to learn from us or you want to hear from us. We'll be very happy to arrange sessions. Just keep on dropping those messages depending on the availability of the experts. We will be arranging those sessions and we will try to bring different sessions every Saturday. So if you want another topic related to QBD, we won't have it on the next Saturday, but we will definitely arrange on a later date so that it doesn't become a repetitive one. So I will will be very happy if you can share your inputs also. Because your input, or you will be having suggestions with respect to the topics. Okay. What type of, sir? You can read the questions, right?
Yeah.
Yes, please.
So one, I want to know how much CMA impacts in QBD, of course. I mean, of course, critical material attributes, as I said, it is one of the most important thing. So how much it impacts? Maybe I'll show you certain case studies. Maybe we can make a note of it. I'll show you certain case studies. You will be very that case studies which will be very much relatable. We can understand how much the critical material attributes are going to approach. What types of design? Mostly formulation optimization, OSD for liquids, etc. We are we use our software, or can we analyze completely manually without software? So without software, see, software will give you the without software again it will be a OFAT approach. You will not get to know the multiple complexes, or you will not get to know about the interaction between two variables. Without software, it's as good as a OFAT approach, one factor at a time software, right? So it definitely has to be done with software. I think Mr. Pradeep Vahule, can you please be more specific or ask something in more detail? What about dry lab software? That is also a good software again, just like Minitab. It is also being used by many pharma companies. See, some softwares are specifically related to process. I am not sure whether dry lab has been extended to AQBD also, but of course it is a major software which is also being used by a lot of pharma companies. Case studies of process development
That was a
of
I
any
guess
QBD.
topic
Yes,
for
I
discussion.
have lots of case studies of process development where we are targeting, let's say, yield improvement, or we are targeting upon the process modification, scale up challenges. So we'll take a note of it on maybe we can at least see if we have 1 hour for these kind of sessions. Maybe if we have a case studies, 2 3 case studies, that will also be more informative.
Okay, I guess that these topics cannot be covered in this
Yes. Point
5 minutes.
prediction and validation of model. So,
What we will
main,
do
yeah,
with respect to this, we will be sharing this recording on YouTube channel also. This so you can hear it out. Yeah, we will be coming up with. We'll take note of whatever topics has been mentioned in the chat box. We are making note of that. We will come up with the training programs. Also, we will be trying to bring out a comprehensive training program with respect to only focusing on QBD, so that we have a full length discussion on all the topics. Okay, so I guess we will have to break here because it has gone past 5. So it's already a weekend, and I had to engage sir on this weekend. So thank you so much, my sir, for I know you don't like being called as sir, but it is out of respect that we all call you. So, but definitely it was a truly a engaging session. Unfortunately, that technical glitch happened. I'll just ensure that it doesn't happen again. But we are using Zoho only because it is an Indian platform, and we are just trying to encourage, like we are trying to encourage Indian products in pharma. We are
yeah.
just trying to bring out or utilize this platform or an Indian-made platform for our activities. So let's see, such things happens everywhere. So I'm really thankful to each one of you. Almost 50 participants took part in this session. I'll be uploading the session. Any final comments, sir, from your side?
Fine. I mean, that's it. I mean, things happen. That's not an issue, but we were able to conduct and deliver this. That's a big thing. So we could reach out to at least 50 people who got to know more about QBD. Thank you for arranging this session. Thank you for making me a part of this session where I could reach out to another 50%, make people aware, because this is definitely the need of the hour. We need to bridge the gap between the academy and the industry, and I'll be happy to be a part of it. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Thank you, each one of you, for your time. We'll see you next time on next Saturday with yet another topic. And also, I would encourage you, if you are interested, you can definitely join the next session on molecular drug. Thank you, everyone. Bye.
Thank you. Good day. Bye.
Okay, bye.